this presentation.
Hello, can you listen to me? We have a 30 minutes presentation and 10 minutes Q&A time, so you may start right now and finish almost 27th or something like that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for this presentation. And I'm Haruka from Ochanomizu University. And today I would like to talk about our experiment about wave crossover phenomena. First, I will start by talking about the overview of our study. In this talk, we will argue that two syntactic configurations, matrix with crossover and relative with crossover, are a similar syntactic configuration on string. And in test 2, his taken place every teacher is a sentence of matrix WCO. And sentence 4, every teacher who his student place is a sentence of relative crossover. These are similar in that each student corresponds to a subject and every teacher corresponds to an object. But the question is whether both configuration is constrained interpretation in the same way. What studies have conflicting evidence about the issue? Now, using the language faculty science and experimental methodology pioneered by SMOG 2015 and 2022, we found that relative WCO has a different status from matrix WCO in Japanese. First, I'd like to talking about the bound level, the NAPRA PDA reading. It is one of the typical interpretation of sentence 1. Every teacher prays his student will write picture, which means each teacher prays his own student, such as teacher A prays a student and teacher B prays B student on. Here, let me talk about a bit more about wave crossover, WCO. WCO affects rewriting inability to accept a particular reading like PDA reading. In sentence 1, every teacher prays his student, not a WCO case. It is usually easy to have BBA reading. In general, readings like BBA require the binder to be structurally higher than the binding. Crucially, though, in sentence 2, his student prays every teacher. The binding is in a subject position, and the binding every teacher is an object position, so the binder is not the binding. Much of WCO cases where the structure is not the binding, this generally makes it difficult to accept. Now, transporting sentence 1, every teacher prays his student, and sentence 2, his student prays every teacher to give a relative cross context. We try sentence 3, every teacher who prays his student, and sentence 4, every teacher who his student prays. As noted, it is generally said that BBA reading isn't possible in every teacher prays his student, and if possible in sentence 2, his student teacher. But orative claims have been made out of cases like sentence 3, every teacher who praised his student, and sentence 4, every teacher who his student praised. Here, to give a couple examples, Bill 2017 claims that Matrix SVO BBA and Relative SVO BBA readings are both acceptable, while Matrix WCO BBA and Relative WCO BBA is not acceptable. On the other hand, Bekki 2023's Benetton semantics theory predicted that both relative SVO BBA and relative WCO BBA are acceptable, in contrast to metric WCO BBA. And the correctness of these predictions is an ethical matter. As noted, this question is complicated by judgment variation. Indeed, even matrix WCO is sometimes acceptable to some individual in the literature. We showed after various non-structural factors were eliminated, in which speaker did not accept metric WCO sentences like sentence 2. His student praised every teacher, but accepted relative WCO sentences like every teacher who his student praised. However, I will talk about it later. It's not clear whether this result is due to preference between quantifier, such as every teacher, and pronoun, like his student, or structure of that sentence. Because in English relative clauses, the quantifier always precedes the pronoun, unlike in matrix clauses, where in matrix WCO, it does not precede. To clarify the difference in acceptability between relative WCO and matrix WCO, we conducted an experiment in Japanese that pronoun proceed quantifier in relative clauses using the best method as in our past experiment in English. We found out, as a result, we found out claim that relative WCO has a different status from matrix WCO, seems to be well supported in Japanese. And the results show that the factors contributing the difference between BBA availability in relative WCO and matrix WCO are structural and not simply based on precedence between quantifier and pronoun. Now, I would like to talk about previous investigation and the method of language faculty science, LFS. A basic of LFS method is an availability ratings like BBA affected by multiple factors. These factors vary in strength across individuals over time. In particular, reading like BBA have multiple potential sources. This depends on both formal and non-formal factors regarding sentences and individual cognitive state or representations. Because of the variability in these factors, there is no strict notion of possible and impossible sentence or interpretation. can ask whether a particular individual can or cannot interpret the sentence in a given way at the given time. A common concern is whether individual can never truly accept the potential interpretation of a sentence in categorical sense. In other words, any reports that certain things seem impossible or reliable, though individual judgment vary, patterns across judgment are stable. For example, Hoji 2022 or Plesniak 2023 show that individuals who reject items like in case 5, his student praised John, and the sentence 6, two students praise every teacher. Reject sentence like reject the interpretation of a sentence like sentence 2. His student praise every teacher. And this correlation has been demonstrated repeatedly in case of multiple languages and multiple construction. And various factors are known to interfere with specific structural effects like WCO. First, the physical factors are such as the elements chosen as a binder, like quantified place, and the element chosen as a binding, usually pronoun. Individuals vary in how given binder or binding affects their judgment. The second, formal factors are such as linear order, quantifier, and pronoun. In the structural factors, previously commented. Then, if we focus on informants who can be judged by structural factor alone, we can analyze the relationship between structure and BBA judgments. As I said before, no formal practice type the choice of binder and binding. To control the judgment variation caused by the choice of binder and binding, we use the co-reference correct reading and distributed reading via sentences, and we compare the judgment in sentence 2, his student praised every teacher, with those sentence 5, his student praised John, and sentence 6, two students praised every teacher. Because the binding is involved in correct reading, and the binder involved in VR. Also, formal factors in BBA reading include the precedence and structural factors. Comparing metric WCO and metrics OSB sentences can control precedence, and metric WCO is like sentence 2, his student read every teacher, and metrics OSB sentences is like the sentence 7, his student every teacher plays. And our experiment in English show that all informants who judge metric WCO sentences on only structured factors accept relative WCO sentences like every teacher who his student praised. But in English relative clauses, the point about always cursive pronoun are like matrix clauses. order may influence the judgment. So, in this time, we conducted Japanese experiment. Now, I would like to talk about the implementation of our experiment in Japanese. About this part, we followed the basic design of our previous experiment. In the experiment, we asked the participants whether the relational readings such as BDA, DR, and COLLEG, and non-relational readings are not possible, or possible or not. Also, the participants were instructed not to judge based on plausibility or naturalness of sentences. And we used a picture to convey these readings. The goal of using the relational reading is to find individuals often know interviewing factors, diagnose, and analyze those individuals' BBA acceptability judgments on the construction of features. This is an example of experiment task about BBA. On sentence 8, 自動車会社3社がそこの社長を批判した。Which means 3 car companies criticized their presidents. The given interpretation are those figures. The left figure shows the BBA reading, where each company criticized to their own president. And the right figure, the reading where companies criticized the same one president. In this case, the informant might reasonably accept both interpretation. This second image is an example of experimental task about video, distributed reading. Also, sentence 9, 自動車会社3社が部長2人を批判した which means 3 car companies criticized 2 managers. The given interpretation of these figures, the left figure showed DR, where 2 managers were criticized per company, car company, and right figure shows readings such where the same 2 managers were criticized car companies. Informants again might reasonably accept both interpretation. This third image is an example of experimental task about correct or reverse reading. For the sentence 10, ある自動車会社がそこの社長を批判した。This means our car company criticized its president, and the given interpretation are these figures. The left figure shows correct reading, where a car company criticized a car company's president, and the right figure shows readings where a car company criticized other car companies' presidents. Informants again might reasonably accept both interpretations. There are other question types as well, but they are not used in current analysis. Now, I will discuss our results. We asked 50 Japanese native speakers. Overall, there is clear difference between metric WCO and relative WCO. That is, relative WCO gradually indistinguishable in in acceptance rate from controls, whereas metric WCO is rejected the majority of the time. And we replicate our past experiment in English, but metrics on VBA and metrics WCO. Actually, following past bugs, we use OSB reconstruction rather than SBO, ensure no interference of president. We use two criteria to pass experiment to classify the participant determining those for whom we are maximally confident in the lack of interfering factors. And the criteria is one then is consistently rejecting inverse DL, and second one is consistently rejecting converse WCO. And this is the result about metric WCO. Many individuals met all criteria. In other words, they can reject inverse scope VR and we crossover or reference. Other previous studies, all of them did not accept metric WCO. And this is the result about relative WCO. Unlike metric WCO, some of 10 individuals who met all criteria accept relative WCO, BBA, therefore attempting to replicate this pattern with relative WCO pair instead of metric WCO. The result reproduced the result of our English experiment in Japanese. Regardless the method of use, relative WCO is widely accepted, and no combinations of reasonable criteria will allow the stable growth of interfering with individuals were rejected, unlike metric WCO, for which such clarification is easy. What we showed, we were not able to address the possibility this contrast based on other factors could be involved in relative WCO, such as major subjects like sentence 11, 自動車会社3社が
For the interesting of the time, you may have 5 more minutes to presentation.
Means like sentence 11, 自動車会社3社がそこの社長が連絡した。Which means, as for 3 car companies, their president contacted. We intended to conduct follow-up experiments in the future to address this issue. In this study, we replicated the results of our experiments in English, also in Japanese, and this result support the theory that we crossover effect in the relative growth is different from that matrix cross. In particular, these results show that binder and binding precedence is not the determining factor for weak crossover effect in relative cross, because in Japanese relative cross, the binding precedes the binder. And yet contrast between them still obtains. And further work is needed to be distinguished to explanation. One explanation definition is where the relatively crossover that simply does not exist, as in the theory of Bekki 2023's dependent type semantics. And this is an acknowledgement, and this is reference, so thank you for listening.
Thank you for wonderful presentations. On the floor, if you have any question, please ask her for 10 minutes. Go ahead.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not a syntax person. Hopefully, other people can ask about the goal of the experiment in terms of syntax. But I have a question about the experiment because I've written a lot about acceptability judgment methods, and I haven't read your new paper yet. I'll have to look at it. But I'm a little worried about the way you deal with the interference problem, that you basically find good participants, which is kind of question begging because you don't know if those guys are weird, right? I think a more objective way to do it would be to include the interference in your stimuli so that your sentences would because you told them not to pay attention to plausibility or whatever. You could intentionally vary the plausibility of the sentences and then have it as another factor. Then you do a big statistical analysis where you include all the data, don't throw out anybody, and just see if when you factor out the interference effect, do you still get the syntax effect and the semantics effect? Because the way you guys are doing it, you kind of are looking for the good subjects, the ones who are really good at judging what you want them to judge, and that they might not be representative of a normal person. I know there's a debate about this in the theoretical syntax literature about even philosophy of syntax, that maybe that's correct, maybe that there are good people who are good at detecting linguistic patterns and other people are bad at it. But I mean, if we're supposed to be coming up with a theory of how normal people represent language in their head, then you should have some model of the noise, of the interference as well, and don't just try to find pure people which happen to fit your way of looking at syntax. So you get my question, right?
Thank you for the question, and I cannot hear sorry, or about your question, but I think
you didn't hear any of my question? You didn't hear my question at all?
Like we said they're doing some noises. We said experiment and an experiment, and in this presentation, I talk about the experiment. Yeah, we said that some experiment check the attempt test and comprehension.
Right. Yeah, I'm saying that's bad. My question was that's bad. You do need to filter to some degree, but in your table at the end, you were saying you have the A, B together and an A and B, and then you look at one box to check to see if that's 0 or not. That's basically throwing out everybody except 5 people. So you're actually filtering a lot more than what you have here. So I'm just suggesting, if you're claiming that, you correctly claim that judgments are sensitive to syntax and also to pragmatics and also to lexical frequency and many, many other things, just include those as variables mean, basically, the idea of ideal, you even wrote the word ideal, right? That I don't know, it just bugs me. As an experimental research, that's not the way to do this kind of study. But your conclusions sound plausible. I think if you did it my way, the results would be very similar, which is they'd be more believable.
So maybe like I think that maybe the number of this make the criteria is like too huge. Okay. And yeah. For the last informal experiment, in this methodology, the informal or criteria or method or criteria tend to and because some like some various factors influence the judgments in the word. Some bad words is used in the sentence, but this methodology ordinarily or like face-to-face, person-to-person experiment. So, in such a person-to-person experiment, also the control the words. So people who said the sentences. So, like, easy to judge on the structure factors, and it is shown that or is this correlation is or is this correlation is shown.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I understand.
Okay, thank you for answering question. If you have any other question, you may have one more.
Yeah, just quick comments. Let me see. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a quick comments about the technique of experimenting recrossable effects. Are you familiar with the Cushy and Colin Phillips work 2018? They use a so-called they are some ingenious technique of gating paradigm. So like this gating paradigm is very important for your comparison between non-relative and the relative distinction in terms of recursive effects. Gating is the way of examining so-called accidental co-reference, which is in relative closure, right? Moving element can induce recursive effects, but actually, like subject his, okay, his mother, actually his mother can be co-referential with the relative head, so that that is so-called the gating paradigm. So that unlike the non-relative, in fact, in the case of the relative, right, there is another another way of interacting with another referential element or another quantification element. So in investigating this issue, you use gating paradigm, then your result will be more illuminating. Okay, that's my proposal. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's my suggestion, and I will send you the paper, Cushy and the qualification paper.
Thank you for your suggestion. And yeah, sorry, I can understand your budgeting and or your basic question is only suggestion.
Yeah, just a suggestion, not question.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for participating in this presentation. The next session is Sujin Kim, but unfortunately I should deliver regrettable news. Our final presenter, Sujin Kim from Nagoya University, got a COVID-19 right now, so she couldn't join here, even though she's in Andong University. Please give her a big applause. So let me move to the closing remarks. Yong-ha Kim, Dean of the College of Humanities and Arts from Andong University. Please welcome with a big applause.